Let's bring in now, on the other side of our studio, Emma James with MediaWatch. Good evening to you. Starting with a deeply moving story, deeply shocking as well, that illustrates the horror facing sexual assault victims in the wake of the crime being committed against them.
Yes, exactly. This isn't about the horror of the crime itself, although that is included in it. It is really about the huge impact that what happens afterwards can have. It's a victim's assault statement, a victim's statement that's been released. She read it out in court to her attacker, to the judge, and it was designed to ensure that it was treated seriously, this crime. And it really highlights the issues of sexual assault, drinking, consent. The statement was released to BuzzFeed, and they published it online. More than 5.6 million people have now read it from that source alone, and it is being reprinted everywhere and shared very, very widely indeed. The section in red here shows some of the questions that she faced while she was on the stand. Are you sexually active? Would you ever cheat? Basically trying to prove her own culpability in the attack. She was assaulted last year by Brock Turner, who's now 20, a student at Stanford, a very prestigious university in the United States of America. He was there on a swimming scholarship, and one of the things that she talks about is her horror at learning details of what had happened to her because she was drunk and she couldn't remember. She learnt details of what happened to her from a newspaper report that then went on to give his best times in the pool. It is just shocking that that would be deemed appropriate.
So the fact that he's a promising swimmer, viewed by the media in many ways as being more important than the fact that she was a victim.
Exactly, and he was very much painted as an all-American boy, blonde hair, blue eyes. One quote from her statement here: in newspapers, my name was unconscious, intoxicated woman. 10 syllables and nothing more than that. For a while, I believed that that was all I was. I had to force myself to relearn that I am not just a drunk victim at a frat party found behind a dumpster.
Now, of course, the papers, the media, would refer to her in those terms because they couldn't name her, but she's waived her right to anonymity in order to really...
No, she hasn't.
Oh, she hasn't?
She has remained anonymous, and it's one of the reasons why this is so unusual, because ordinarily, when people don't waive their right to anonymity, you basically don't hear their voice, and that is what's so exceptional about this. It's 7,200 words long. So many people are reading it. This tweet is typical. One of the most powerful things I've read in a long, long time. Brock Turner, the attacker, should be forced to read it every day. Now, he could have faced 14 years in jail for the 3 felonies that he was convicted of.
14 years in jail.
Yes, it included assault with intent to rape. In fact, what he was actually given was 6 months. As you can see here, the Raw story refers to it as a slap on the wrist for an all-American boy. The judge said he was lenient because of positive character references and a lack of a previous criminal record, and he said prison would have a severe impact on him. But the insult really doesn't end there, because the court statement from Brock Turner's father has now been published too, and for many that embodies the problems that every victim of sexual assault faces. He said his son should not have to go to prison for 20 minutes of action out of his 20-plus years of life. He said that Brock's life has been deeply altered.
So this is trying to blame, in a sense, the woman, the young woman, for being the victim.
He's saying that his son is a victim too, and he doesn't really seem to recognise that the victim of the attack was a victim primarily. He talks about the fact that his son has lost his appetite and no longer enjoys ribeye steak or pretzels. It beggars belief that somebody would believe that that is relevant in this particular instance.
It just seems remarkably insensitive, and that's to put it very mildly.
Yes, absolutely. And a lot of people questioning that use of the phrase 20 minutes of action. I don't think he meant in terms of sexual action, but some people have highlighted that.
It sounds pretty sick, the whole thing, frankly.
It is
from a neutral standpoint.
But it is a tweet. It is an article, that has moved so many people, and many are pledging not to let it go. This tweet is typical of that. Brock Turner's victim has lit a fire. It is up to all of us to fan the flames.
And like you say, this is being read and retweeted by millions of people around the World Wide Web, and obviously that's one of the things that's really buzzing. Tell us briefly, before you go, about the passing of a great cartoonist who I know you appreciate on many levels.
Yes, French cartoonist Hervé Baudry. I've used his images many, many times here on MediaWatch. Did so on Friday, in fact, one of his very last drawings, this one of the statue of the Zouave in the Seine on the Pont de l'Alma, because, of course, everyone was heading there to take their pictures with him behind them. He's known as the sort of barometer of how bad the floods in Paris are, and you can see there he's dubbed him superstar, and he's taking his own selfie. Now, that was just on Friday. On Sunday, he died at the age of just 54 years old, and he really has done some fantastic work. This one, We Want a Roof, a play on words really because of the French Open being rained off, and also refugees in Paris, where there is a plan to open a new refugee camp.
Hervé Baudry, rest in peace. Prolific and no doubt continuing to use his pen in heaven. Emma, thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much for MediaWatch.